Before we get into the details of f-stops and depth of field, let's work out some simple vocabulary. First, we have aperture. An aperture is an opening, hole, or gap. This is where light is allowed into the camera. Next is f-stop. F-stop is a camera setting corresponding to a particular f number. Remember this phrase. We'll be talking about it again in a minute. Finally, we have depth of field, which is the portion of the image that is in focus. So remember that phrase I mentioned before? The f number is the ratio of the focal length of the camera, which is the distance between the center of the lens and its focus, and the diameter of the aperture. It's confusing because as the f-stop gets bigger, the aperture gets smaller, and vice versa. Sorry, future photographers, your life just got a lot harder. And it's about to get worse, because everything's backwards when it comes to depth of field. So here's the rule. The smaller the aperture, the deeper the depth of field. The bigger the aperture, the shallower the depth of field. And here's why. Imagine that the aperture of a camera is a magnifying glass, and the part of the picture that's in focus is wherever the magnifying glass has the ability to burn. Light is focused through the magnifying glass onto the spot where it's burning the ground. If the magnifying glass is really big, the light dissipates quickly, see? So if you put your hand in this path of light, you won't get burned unless you're in that one spot on the ground. In camera terms, this would be a shallow depth of field because only a small point is in focus. But if the magnifying glass is small, then the light is more concentrated and doesn't dissipate as quickly. If you put your hand in this path of light, you're going to feel it. Once again, in camera terms, more is in focus, so the image has a deeper depth of field. Make sense? Maybe? A little? Anyway, there are plenty of people who do understand this stuff and use it to make art. Some people, like Annie Leibovitz, Ansel Adams, and Alessandro Zocchi, use it for still images, and others, like James Cameron, Wes Anderson, and, well, pretty much every filmmaker, use it in movies. Either way, a deep or shallow depth of field can radically change the style of your photo or video, so choose wisely.